Practices describe behaviors shown by students as they engage with the skills and knowledge specific to your discipline. This is distinct from units, topics, and content. Content is the vehicle, while the practice is the roadway, with mastery at some defined level being the destination. I am a science teacher, specifically a physics teacher, so I will describe my practices. The 8 practices we are supposed to use, as mandated by the NGSS, are listed in the right column. The problem is that they are written for teachers and are difficult to use for assessment as written. So we have used them as a guideline, but breaking them into more manageable chunks that are easier to understand and use in our classroom. I want to show you how our 10 practices listed in that left column incorporate those that are mandated. NGSS has asking questions and defining problems, which we use in 2 practices, experimental design and the engineering design process. NGSS has developing and using models, which we evaluate in 2 practices, problem solving and the engineering design process. NGSS uses planning and carrying out investigations, which we evaluate in experimental design and the engineering design process. NGSS uses analyzing and interpreting data, which we actually do in 4 different practices: data analysis, interpreting graphs, creating graphs, and the engineering design process. NGSS has using mathematics and computational thinking, which we evaluate in just 1 practice, problem solving. They use constructing explanations and designing solutions, which we break down into 2 practices, creating explanations and making predictions, and the engineering design process. In engaging in argument from evidence, we broke that into 2 practices, creating explanations and making predictions, and arguing a scientific claim. Lastly, we've got creating, evaluating, and communicating information, which we evaluate in 3 practices: using feedback, creating explanations, and making predictions, and graph interpretation. As you can see, I evaluate all of the next generation science standards, just rearranged under different titles. Again, why did I do that? In brief, NGSS is worded for educators, not for students. My practices are for students. They have to understand the languages we are using so that we can communicate fully.